Welcome back to DK Sports Radio. You're listening to Don't Get Me Started. Don't get me started about how spoiled Steelers fans are. This is Chris Carter here from DKPittsburghSports.com. We are in the middle of the Steelers' playoff bye week. A bye week, ladies and gentlemen. For the first time since 2010, the 2010-2011 season, the Steelers have earned not only their division crown, but the bye week so that they can rest for a week for their players. And the last two times they've done that were 2010, 2008. Both times they went to the Super Bowl. Now, I know everyone's thinking, but they didn't beat the Patriots, and they're 13-3. You know, they should have beat the Bears. They shouldn't have thrown 5 interceptions to the Jaguars, whatever. They have the best record in the NFL. Yes, they're tied with a few other teams like the Eagles and the Patriots. I believe the Vikings. No, I think they're 12-4. But the point is, they've had a stellar season. They lost Ryan Shazier in the most dramatic of ways, and here we are, people still being upset about being a Steelers fan. Finding ways to be upset. Meanwhile, let's look across the league, and this is why Steelers fans are spoiled. It was New Year's Eve. We're in Heinz Field's press box. I'm sitting there with Dale and Dayon, and we're watching the Bengals-Ravens game on the televisions. And I'm getting a text from my friend Aaron Gormley, who's a huge Bills fan. We went to law school together, and I have seen the pain of Bills fans. I thought there was pessimism in Pirates fans, but no, the Bills fans are on another level. There was one game they were up 17 points with like 4 minutes to go. They had the ball inside the other team's 20, and they were still panicking. How are we going to mess this up? How can this go against us? And every time I tried to inspire confidence in them, they would tell me to shut up, that you do not know our lives, you privileged Steelers fan, sit down and let us mellow in our fear. So they're playing the Ravens are playing the Bengals. Now it's big because the Bills pretty much handled their business. They beat the Dolphins in Miami for a good win. They put themselves in the position that they could make the playoffs for the first time since 1999. Think about that, 1999. We were still wondering what Y2K was gonna do to every computer on the planet. Bill Clinton was still president. And they lost on the Music City Miracle. That is how long ago that is. I still remember sitting on my parents' couch watching that game. I was like in the 4th or 5th grade or something at the time. But goodness, that was the last time. And if you haven't seen, I was texting my friend Erin the whole time she's watching, and she's like, "Can the Bengals really do this?" And I'm like, "I don't know. They're the Bengals. If the Bengals win, the Ravens got out the playoffs and the Bills were in." And as you've already seen, the Bills are in the playoffs. They're going to Jacksonville for their first playoff game since 1999, which makes 19 years, 18 years. Jeez. But Steelers fans are upset because Mike Tomlin does something. Because he let go James Harrison in a season in which the Steelers led the NFL in sacks and James Harrison only had 1. Well, if you haven't taken a look at it yet, you should go look up on social media. There's a video of Bills fans in the Dolphins stadium after the game is over, after they've already beaten the Dolphins, and there's a crowd of them watching on a TV screen in the Dolphins stadium to see if the Bengals can pull it out. And when Tyler Boyd, Clareton's own, catches that touchdown, and he catches the ball, runs into the end zone. It was 4th down. Everything was on the line. It came down to that play, and when he scored, just the jubilation from those fans, like, oh my gosh, our boys finally did it. They're in the playoffs. Our nightmare is over. Pirates fans, you know that feeling. Like it finally happened. We are in the playoffs. This is so good. There's already a Facebook event for a Bill Super Bowl party. Even if they don't win, they're like, listen, we won the Super Bowl, all right? And to be fair, the Bills, they didn't have much of a roster this year. Tyrod Taylor's their quarterback, a decent quarterback, not a great quarterback. LaShawn McCoy was their best player. They traded away Sammy Watkins, got Kelvin Benjamin. They've had some rough calls this year. They really don't have a defense because they keep getting pounded in the run. They lost Stephon Gilmore to the Patriots. Lots of things. But the point is they made the playoffs. Let's keep looking around the NFL. While the Steelers are 13-3, this is the second year in a row that on either New Year's Eve or New Year's Day, the Steelers have played the Browns and used Landry Jones and a bunch of backups. And for a second year in a row, the Steelers have beaten the Browns with Landry Jones and a bunch of backups. Think about that. Think if you were a Steelers fan and you were going up against the Ravens and they threw in all their backups. Now, granted, they did beat the Steelers once with Ryan Mallett, but that's another story. Steelers made the playoffs that year. But imagine if Joe Flacco just intentionally just took a seat. I'm not playing. This ain't important. And I guess we'd have to go back because the Ravens don't have the superstar players to really rest. So, I mean, imagine back in the day, like if Ray Lewis, Ed Reed, Sam Adams, Tony Siragusa, Jamal Lewis, like all those great Ravens of the past. Imagine if they all sat and they still beat the Steelers, and the Steelers were 0-16 like the Browns are right now. Are you really kidding me? People are upset. I posted something about, I tweeted something about Tomlin. Now, for those who don't know, this was Tomlin's 11th season in the NFL. And, in Pittsburgh, people talk about it, man, like he's a dog. Like he's never done nothing right. Terry Bradshaw called him a cheerleader. And there was some people who said that's a little much because it's completely ridiculous to call Mike Tomlin a cheerleader. But there was a large crowd that was just like, I can see his point. And if you're part of that crowd, you don't know football. You just don't. Now, Mike Tomlin just finished his 11th season in the NFL. He has 116 wins in his regular seasons. That is the second most of any coach in their first 11 seasons in NFL history. The one coach that has more than him, it's not Bill Belichick. It's not Chuck Noll. It's not Bill Walsh. It's not Jimmy Johnson. It's Don Shula. A guy that's always put on the coaching Mount Rushmore of the NFL. So Mike Tomlin has come in, and he's made a statement with 116 wins. Now, granted, Don Shula did it with 14-game seasons included in that mix. So it's also very possible that next year, if Ben Roethlisberger sticks around and the Steelers don't blow up any part of this roster and they're healthy and they get another 13-win season, it's very possible that Mike Tomlin could just surpass Don Shula next year and have the most wins of any coach in 12 seasons, in their first 12 seasons. I'm sorry. But no, we're not talking about that. Literally had a fan commenting to me in an article about why is Mike Tomlin saying things, why does he use so much vocabulary when he doesn't need to in his press conferences? He's trying to sound too smart. I can't stand this. Gosh. I'm like, really? That's what you're complaining about? The Steelers are 13-3, the number 2 seed in the AFC. They were one game where they had several calls go against them. Most of all, the Jesse James catch. If they get any of those calls that they get, they probably win this game. They're 14-2, number 1 seed, beat the AFC, the Patriots. They've done almost everything you could ask of them this year. And literally, I mean, they lost 3 games. 2 of those teams that they lost to are division winners and of the top 3 teams in the AFC. But we're upset. We're crazy. I don't get it. Someone tell me. I wish I had a call-in box right now for someone to call this phone. You know what? Call my. No, I'm not giving y'all my phone number. I'm not giving y'all my phone number right now. I'm not giving you that satisfaction. But I'm saying, come at me. I'm at Carter Critiques. Tell me why Steelers fans aren't spoiled. Because I just think it's the truth. And Ryan Clark said it years ago, and people were so upset at him for it. No, it's the truth. Steelers fans have been a group. They 6 Super Bowls. No one else has done that. They have the most division titles in NFL history. No one else has done that. Most playoff berths in NFL history. No one's done that. Most playoff wins in NFL history. No one's done that. The past 3 coaches this team has had, including Mike Tomlin, they've all won Super Bowls. Nobody else has done that. Now, granted, I'm not saying you shouldn't criticize the team. No. You can criticize and you can think whatever you want. But I'm saying if you want to be an objective fan and you're someone out there that's thinking like, man, And I get it. It's frustrating when your team doesn't go all the way and you think they had a chance to, and you're thinking, what could they have done better? But you have to accept that everyone in the NFL are professionals. These guys, they know what they're doing. Bill Belichick, he's a coach that's been around for a while. That's been around for a long time. Bless you, Chris Benson. He just sneezed. I like messing with my man. But think about this. We're going to go to a break in a little bit here and switch topics. But think about this. Bill Belichick was coaching as a defensive coordinator for the New York Giants while Mike Tomlin was in high school. That's the difference that they're dealing with here. And Mike Tomlin has beaten Bill Belichick before. Since Mike Tomlin's been in the league, Bill Belichick only has one more Super Bowl than him. And you look at all the stuff that's going on. I mean, the Steelers are very close to surpassing the Patriots in the past. I'm talking about in the talent right now. They really were. If Antonio Brown doesn't go out in that game against back in December, he went out in the second quarter. They probably win that game, and it's probably not even close. But that's another story. If and buts were candy and nuts, every day would be Christmas. But let's be honest. I mean, the Steelers team is talented. People said that Tomlin could only win with cowards players. They criticized his drafts in 2008 and 2009. And yes, they missed some in 2008 and 2009. But they got Marquise Pouncey in 2010. Then they got Cam Hayward in 2011, David DeCastro in 2012. And they've been building this roster. Now there's just stars everywhere. 8 Pro Bowlers, the most of any team in the NFL this year. And yet Steelers fans find things to complain about. And again, real criticisms, okay. But you take them into the account with the fact that the Steelers are still the greatest organization in the Super Bowl era of the NFL. They've been the most successful. They've also drafted the most Hall of Fame players that are currently sitting in Canton. Now there's other teams that have more because players not drafted before the draft, all that stuff, blah blah blah. But the point is, they have set the standard. And this season, if any, exemplifies what that standard is because these guys have overcome so many obstacles. And that's going to be a storyline, all throughout the playoffs. If they go in and they beat whoever they play in the divisional round, if they lose in the AFC Championship game, they still overcame a ton to get to this point, which is why I have confidence that this group isn't done proving points to people and their critics. We'll be back in a little bit. Stay tuned.
Football season is here, and it's time to cash in on the nonstop sports action with MyBookie.ag. They have in-game live betting on nearly every sporting event. Plus, MyBookie.ag will match your deposit with a bonus up to 100%. With decades of expertise and no-hassle payouts, you'll experience the greatest customer service in the business. Guaranteed. Use promo code DKRadio to activate your bonus of up to 100%. Call 844-900-BETS or visit MyBookie.ag to open an account. Sign up today.
Miller Lite is the original light beer, and we'll always brew it to have more taste, with only 96 calories and 3.2 carbs. Because we believe that if you compromise on taste, you can taste the compromise. Miller Lite. Hold true.
Great beer, great responsibility. 2018 Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Average analysis, 12 fluid ounces. Less than 1 gram protein, 0 grams fat.
What I want from my public accounting firm is big ideas.
But I don't want to lose the personal attention.
My company needs global capabilities.
From a firm with local ownership.
And I want to work with industry experts.
Who take the time to understand my unique challenges. And that's what sets Schneider Downs apart. Expertise for the most complex business issues. With the service you need every day. To learn how our big thinking with a personal focus can help your company, visit schneiderdowns.com.
If you're one of the thousands of Western Pennsylvanians who love to get outdoors, then you need to check out this amazing new website, stepoutside.org. Hi, I'm Dan Kovacevic of DK Sports Radio. I'm born and raised in Pittsburgh. I know about the outdoor life that's available to all of us in Western Pennsylvania. Learn where, when, and how you can go camping, hiking, hunting. Take part in power sports, shooting sports, water sports in your local community, across our region, across the country at stepoutside.org.
In Pittsburgh, we bleed black and gold and love our city. Born in Pittsburgh and now celebrating 130 years in the business, Henny Jewelers is proud to be your premier jewelry store. The holiday season is quickly approaching, so whether it's choosing that watch you've always wanted or you're searching for the ring that was made for her, trust Henny Jewelers. Visit our store on Walnut Street in Shadyside to see our extensive inventory of designer engagement rings, watches, and one-of-a-kind jewelry. For more, go to hennyjewelers.com and follow us on social.
Embarrassed by that stained carpet in your office? Tired of looking at your dull, dirty floor? My Floor Needs is here to fix that. With years of experience and 24/7 service, My Floor Needs offers stripping and waxing, carpet, tile, grout, and concrete cleaning, as well as polishing and buffing services. Call 888-67-MY-FLOOR or email info@myfloorneeds.com for a free estimate and get your floors looking like new again. Whatever your floor needs, call 888-67-MY-FLOOR.
Does your company ever miss its sales goals or struggle getting new business?
Is it tough to hire or to give reps the right tools?
Hi, I'm Dan, and I started Engaged Prospect right here in Pittsburgh to help companies like yours.
And I'm Sam. We're helping companies hit sales goals and grow their businesses.
Think of us as your inside sales team.
Our clients are experts in their fields. We're experts in inside sales.
Give us a call today at 412-715-5151.
Or visit us online at engagedprospect.com/DK.
It's been 50 years since the Summer of Love, but if you're not performing as well as you'd like, check out endedforless.com. I'm Eric Cushy of Curtis Pharmacy. Don't pay premium prices for the little blue pill. So Denafil, the same active ingredient as in Viagra, costs 80% less. endedforless.com. All we need is your physician's name. We do the rest. Free shipping, too. endedforless.com. Curtis Pharmacy, Western PA's Better Way Pharmacy. curtispharmacy.com.
And we're back here, DK Sports Radio. You're listening to Don't Get Me Started. This is Chris Carter, NFL analyst for DKPittsburghSports.com. We've been talking about Steelers fans being spoiled. Let's talk about another aspect of what's been going on in Pittsburgh lately, and that involves the Steelers, and that involves everyone's I know this is like a week late, but let's talk about James Harrison. That's something we haven't talked about on this show. I haven't done this show since before then, because we had the holiday break. But let's talk about this. Now, James Harrison is the all-time Steelers sack leader. I think he had 80 for the Steelers, more than anyone. They've had some impressive sack men, and mind you, sacks weren't officially a stat until 1982. So that means this throws out Joe Green, L.C. Greenwood, Dwight White, Ernie Holmes, all those guys. They're not in consideration. Not fair to them, but it's an is. But what it does put in perspective is how many pass rushers have the Steelers had that you can remember that have been that good. Kevin Green, Greg Lloyd, Joey Porter, Jason Gilden, Lamar Woodley, and James Harrison sits atop all of them. Now I know some of you are wondering where's Carter going to go with this, because there's two real sides to this debate as far as who should be more upset. Is it Steelers fans that think James Harrison should have been kept around, that he showed enough loyalty to the team over the years, he's a Super Bowl hero with his 100-yard interception return that will live on in Pittsburgh lore until the city burns down? Or is it James Harrison that should have been more loyal because the players came out and basically roasted him, saying that he was snoring during team meetings, he didn't really help Bud Dupree and other young linebackers, and that he wasn't as contributory to the team as he could have been, and that he was leaving games like the Bengals and Colts games this year before they were even over? Lots of questions have come from this. I'm always trying to be an objective thinker. I don't just side with the side that I like. I try to think about what's reasonable. And I fall kind of in the middle with this stance. And let me explain why. Let's break it down into factors. One, first and foremost, no NFL player owes any NFL team anything. Let's get that out of the way now. Because as soon as you are old and washed up and you can't make the same plays, you are expendable in the NFL. They might sign you back for a day so that you can retire with that jersey, and that might look nice for them and you, and that'll go over well in PR. But, I mean, look at the history. The Steelers gave away Franco Harris to the Seahawks because he wouldn't sign for the contract they wanted. Emmitt Smith, the all-time leading rusher in the NFL, couldn't finish his career with the Cowboys. He had to go to the Cardinals because they were just like, nah, we don't feel like paying you as much. The Steelers gave a pay cut to Jerome Bettis because he was getting too old. And that's been the NFL for years, and part of that also is because the NFLPA is horrible as a union, understandably so. But all this goes to say, these teams don't show anybody loyalty. And the only reason the Steelers kept James Harrison around was as an insurance policy as a pass rusher if T.J. Watt didn't work out. And guess what? He had, 6 sacks on the season? 7? Did he get? I think he got a sack in the Browns game. But Bud Dupree and him at least had 6 sacks each or more. That gets them 12 sacks from their outside linebackers, and they're not even rushing their outside linebackers like they used to. They're getting the pressure mostly from their defensive line and from throwing confusing blitzes in there. And mind you, for those people that say that the Steelers and Mike Tomlin and Kevin Colbert, they're idiots for letting go James Harrison because, oh, no, he got picked up by the Patriots. And, oh, what are they going to do? How are they going to play defense without James Harrison? They have 56 sacks in the season, most in the NFL, most in Steelers history for a single season. That tells me right now that Keith Butler knows what he's doing on defense. And one of those sacks, just one of those sacks, was from James Harrison. They're getting heat. Cam Hayward had 12 sacks. Vince Williams had 8 sacks. Mike Hilton had 4 sacks. Sean Davis, I think, had 2 sacks. They were spread all over the board. They weren't just about James Harrison just lining up and beating the man in front of him. And that's what he did to Eric Fisher of Kansas City. And yes, James Harrison did have 2 sacks, and I think he forced a fumble for the Patriots against the Jets. And was it Chris Hackenberg or Bryce Petty that played quarterback for them that day? Either way, that to me doesn't prove much. James Harrison wasn't fitting into the system in Pittsburgh. Let's just be honest. Let's not try to make this a whole big other thing where the Steelers were trying to phase him out. They did him wrong. I've seen that so many statuses. The Steelers did him wrong. No, they didn't. They told him, like, look, this is the scheme. We need you to fit it. If you can't, we can't use you. And they told him beforehand, like, the plan was to use him. Because I'm pretty sure the Steelers probably thought that they might have gotten a few other options had they stay on the board. But T.J. Watt's who they got. And then still, the Steelers, they haven't been a team to play rookies as much early on in the defense. But that trend has changed in the past few years. And you've seen it change for the better. Ryan Shazier was on an NFL defensive MVP pace before he got hurt. Still, after all this time, Ryan Shazier leads all NFL linebackers in interceptions with 3 and passes defense with 11. And if you want to read my midweek reader, it's about a 4,500-word essay, basically, with GIFs and that break down film and tons of interviews, thanks to Dale Lawley's good work, about how the Steelers are schematically replacing Shazier. Because they've done 1,000,001 things. It's brilliant, some of the things that Keith Butler's done, and just it's really interesting learning about how experimentations happen in football. Experimentations is not really a word. Experiments. But the point is the Steelers have a defensive unit that has been solid all year. They rank in the top 5 in pass defense, in total defense, in points allowed. Only thing and they're number 1 in sacks. The only thing they don't really rank super high, and they're number 10 in rushing yards allowed. And I believe that they're just out of the top 10 in turnovers created. But in all of that, the Steelers' defense has been very good this year. And I know people are like, well, they gave up a lot of big plays here. They gave up a lot of big plays there. Well, they still ranked among the top in the NFL and missing. They were missing Stephon Tuitt for a little while early in the season. They were missing T.J. Watt for a little bit of time early in the season. Then they lost Joe Hayden for 6 weeks, who was really on pace to be a Pro Bowl corner before he got hurt. Even though he didn't have the interceptions, he was a lockdown man. Still is. And now they've lost Ryan Shazier. This defense has not been whole for maybe all but 1 week this season, if that. And yet they're still producing at this rate. And the fact of the matter is James Harrison wasn't a part of much of any of it, except for that one game in Kansas City when he got in. He had 40 snaps on the season. 40 snaps. Sean Spence has had more snaps since he's gotten re-signed by the Steelers a few weeks ago. It's all about fitting the schemes. And the thing is, you can be mad at the Steelers if you want. Go ahead, be mad, but they don't care. They're getting the job done. And I think that's the point that Marquise Pouncey was saying. He was like, you know what, go have fun, bye. You know, they're tired of the nonsense. They did what they were supposed to do. They did what they were supposed to do, you know, and they let Harrison go because he wasn't being a good teammate, and he was probably the most expendable of all the players. Personally, me, and this is a guy that's watched James Harrison play ever since he replaced Clark Higgins against the Browns, and I've always liked watching him. I've enjoyed his demeanor. I too hoped that the Steelers would have found a way to keep him or re-sign him after they released him on Christmas Day. Dale and I both speculated that was a move to let Harrison be with his family on Christmas Day since they weren't going to use him against the Texans. But it didn't work out that way. The Patriots signed him. Now, if the Patriots find some way to eke out another Super Bowl with James Harrison, go right ahead. But I'm pretty sure they won't. It won't be because of James Harrison. He might get them one or two big plays in the playoffs. He might be valuable if they play the Chiefs, and I'm pretty sure they're going to play the Chiefs in the playoffs. Unless the Bills beat the Jaguars, which I just don't see happening. But James Harrison's not going to be some superstar for the Patriots this year. He's just not. He's not going to be the deciding factor against the Steelers. If he gets in the game, he might make a few plays. But the Steelers, really, the best team that could beat the Steelers right now is the Steelers. They need to stay healthy. They need to not make dumb mistakes. They need to play their game. New England can't cover all their guys when they're healthy. They could barely cover Juju Smith-Schuster, and he's a rookie. They had to hold Martavis Bryant's hand, which didn't get called for a penalty, in order to slow him down. He still was making one-handed touchdown catches against him. This team does not need James Harrison to win a Super Bowl. And if anything, I thought it was a courtesy of them to keep him around as long as they did without going to get somebody else. Because he has just not been used. They need faster linebackers now. They don't blitz as much. It's not the days of old when the 3-4 linebackers were basically just rushing in every play and collapsing the pocket. It's just a different defense. So what you got me started about was the fact that everyone just wants to jump to a side. The Steelers did him wrong. He did the Steelers wrong. They made business decisions and went separate ways. Simple as that. You know, are there things I think that both sides could have done a little bit better? Yeah. But tell me what businesses don't make bad decisions. You know what's a bad decision? Signing Marvin Lewis to a 2-year extension. That's a bad decision. No, I mean, yeah, well, that's a whole nother debate. I think that the Bengals, I'm not sure if the bad decision was signing Marvin Lewis or allowing the story to float out that there was a mutual agreement between him and the Bengals that he was going to retire, and the team not really standing up and immediately crushing that. He was the one that had to say something. Just put in perspective, Steelers fans. This ties into my first part of this Don't Get Me Started segment. Just that, Steelers fans, you are spoiled. But there's still some of the best fans in the country. Because I tell you, when I was riding in my Uber to the Heinz Field game with Dayon and Matt Sunday in what was like 4-degree weather with ridiculous wind chill at 9:30 in the morning, there were Steelers fans drinking beer, tailgating for a meaningless game where backups were going to play at Heinz Field. I'm not sure if that's craziness or loyalty, but it's commendable as fanaticism. This has been Don't Get Me Started by Chris Carter at DKPittsburghSports.com. You've been listening to DK Sports Radio. Be sure to keep tuned with us. We got a lot of stuff coming up this week. But you got me started. And this has been Chris Carter.